Alright, welcome to MegaNet Gaming, and today the game we're going to look at is Darkfall, Rise of Agon. Now, discussing this game requires looking back at the work it's derived from, which is Darkfall Online, a sandbox MMO created by Adventuring SA. It's a full loot PvP focused sandbox MMO in a fantasy setting where there's a variety of different skills you can choose from, whether it's crafting, there's magic systems, melee systems, ranged weapons, and you end up leveling up skills through use. Original game spent almost a decade in development and had a lot of issues as far as the release went. There's a lot of things that were handled poorly. There's a lot of bugs on the release date of the original Darkfall Online, and there's a very enthusiastic community that loved the game, but it was a very hostile environment for some. Full loot PvP games are not for everybody, and a lot of people became frustrated and ended up quitting the game. My own experience playing Darkfall Rise of Agon, which is one of two currently available derivative works, I witnessed almost a dozen people start yelling while typing, a lot of threats in the chat, and then threatening to quit, saying that they were somehow cheated by somebody else. Basically, you start off as you can pick from a variety of races that are mostly standard. They're derivatives from standard fantasy fare. And you're dropped in the world with not a whole lot, almost naked actually. And then there's some very simple quests in the game. Most of them are of the fetch quest variety. Get 200 stone, or of the kill task variety, kill 500 zombies or whatever they want you to kill. Kill 3 fire elementals. And as far as that aspect, the PvE part of the game, it's very mediocre. However, even in the PvP aspect, one of the greatest parts of this game is that the combat is not your tab targeting style combat. It's actually more in line with something like Quake, where it's fast paced, and you do have to be able to, you do aim projectiles, you aim swings of the melee weapons, etc. So it's highly skill based in combat. A lot of if you want the best weapons in the game, you need to craft those yourself. Then there is quite the learning curve to this game. It's a huge world, about the size of the UK approximately, to explore. And this is where the game, if the game had a full, was at the capacity, no, I shouldn't say full capacity, but was at a minimum level capacity where the game could be played as intended, it'd be quite great. It'd probably be one of the best games on the market currently, if not the best. But where the game fails is there's just not a whole lot of people playing it. So you might run from one village to the next and not even see a single person. And the game's designed so you can have 40, 50 man sieges of another village. But when I was playing, I often saw a party of, it would come up on the screen saying, party of 1 captured village of such and such. Party of 1 isn't a party. So, in order to review this game in a way that I believe is fair to the game, I'm going to I'm going to leave a little side note about the population issues, but that's not going to be factored in all that much in the final review of the game. I'm going to review the game for the game's sake. Just keep in mind, you might have to bring your own people. I guess you could say people not included for this one. Also, there were some frame rate issues. If you want it on the ultra settings, you might have some pretty low frame rate statistics. But this is a 2-generational graphics card, Radeon graphics card that did acceptable playing the game. So you run around, you craft, and essentially you're given a world, you're given a bunch of tools, you're given one of the better combat systems, and I would say one of the best combat systems available in a modern MMO that's still online. And you're just dropped off in the world to make your own out of it. It has both a free-to-play and a premium model to it. The premium does come in the form of game time. And what's the cost of that, you might be asking? Well, let's pull that up really quick. 30-day subscription is $9.99. 90-day subscription, you just save $1 at $26.99. 180-day subscription, $44.99, which is quite comparable to other games I've played throughout the years. I remember Asheron's Call, when it first came out, was about $15 a month. So you aren't able to have a house, and you do have there is some issues with crafting mastery items. You can't run a clan with the premium one. You can't create a clan. There's some restrictions on bank space and being able to use the marketplace, as well as backpack carrying limit. And it does take a while to level up, given you're at a slower leveling speed. Which, while a bit frustrating, looking at from outside the game, playing the game I didn't even really notice. I still had a great time playing this game. So anyway, let's go to a description of the game from the developers. What do the developers say Rise of Agon is? Rise of Agon raises the PvP sandbox MMORPG to new heights, giving veterans and new players an epic fantasy experience like never before. In this sandbox MMO, thousands of players have the freedom to choose their own destiny, create and control empires, engage in unrestricted PvE and PvP combat with full loot, or sail the open seas in a reimagined naval warfare system. Strategy and skill will be your most valuable asset when choosing your path. Now go forth and explore new lands, forge alliances to lay claim to your territory, conquer enemies where risk versus reward will dictate your future. This is, as far as games that have been released in the past couple years, this is one of the games I had the most fun with, despite the population numbers being low. And it's also a game where, as long as the person is able to tolerate dying a fair amount, it's a game that even somebody that's a casual could have some fun playing. Now, they might be limited to killing some goblins here and there, and might not do a whole lot in the PvP aspect, but even killing the goblins can be fun. You'll see on the screen if you're watching here some of the combat. I have a naked character that died because I wasn't paying attention. I just logged in and didn't realize I was in the middle of some goblins, and eventually they killed me. Here I am trying to find my backpack. You have to watch your stamina, health, and you have a mana bar as well as an alignment bar. You have a map, which you have the mini map and then the world map, and all your standard features that you'd expect in an MMO. One of the neat things is with the hotbar is you can put multiple things on the same key. So let's say for one I have my melee weapon. I can put 4 or 5 melee weapons on there, put one as the primary, and even order the way that they go. I can even list multiple spells there, and have, with a single press of a button, have 5 or 6 spells go in a certain order, which is a feature that in Asheron's Call a lot of people would do, except they had to add a bunch of player-created mods and plugins to their client in order to do so. In a lot of ways, this is like a modern-day Asheron's Call replacement. If you're on the Dark Tide server back in Asheron's Call day, and you're looking for a modern game that gives you a lot of the combat, the skill-based combat, and a lot of variety, as well as a fair bit of difficulty, this game will meet a lot of those expectations. And really, you can create a character, reroll a new one, and have a variety of characters that you can play as. The graphics are, I would say, slightly dated. A lot of places look beautiful, the water looks great, and some other places not so much, but even the worst graphics here are good enough to portray what it needs to. So, where do I rate this game? Controls fluid. It's almost unlimited fun given the sandbox nature of the game. And look, I died to some goblins here because I'm new at the game and wanted to show off a death. Relatively new, or at least this character is. With sandbox games, you do have unlimited, to an extent, content, but you have to have a player base there for the content. So this game, with the right population, is a masterpiece. Without that population, if you don't have anybody to bring with you on the journey, and the server continues to be low population, that does hurt it a bit. Regardless, the game itself is a masterpiece. It's one of the best MMORPGs I've played, up there with Asheron's Call and Star Wars Galaxies. Not quite to that level, but almost. So, with the last game I reviewed, I went back. I'm still debating on where to put that game. Super Mario 3. I went back to an addendum and went ahead and put it in the masterpiece category. It was right on the cutoff. So, this game, I would rate it above Anachronox, which we have on there, below Asheron's Call, and where does it stack up compared to Super Mario 3? It's really the whole apples and oranges comparison here. Two very different games. However, like I said, if you had a group like 20 friends and you stayed in a certain part of the map, or you had a couple clans that infused the population to this game, it would definitely be above Super Mario 3. So even though this might cause a bit of controversy, we're going to put this at number 2 on the list. It's right on the cutoff, just like Mario 3 was, but nonetheless, this is a game everybody should check out. That's with the caveats as mentioned. It does have a low population. You do have to create the fun yourself for the most part. You're just given the tools to do so. So if you want a game that's a linear on a track and hold your hand, this is definitely not it. But if you want a game where you're in full control of your destiny and you're having imagination and you're willing to put up with some population numbers that aren't the best, you can have a great time with this game. You can go ahead and create your own little outpost, protect it, and roam around the world killing a variety of creatures. So that's a 5 out of 5 for this one. And spending today catching up on the reviews I should have had done. So we'll go ahead and throw this one up and move on to the next one. If you are interested in this game, it is available on Steam. Like I said, if you can download it, there is a freemium version of it. You're not lose anything except some disk space and some bandwidth to try it out and some time. So even if you don't like it, you don't have to spend any money right away. If you do just check out this game, just look for Chicken Egg Bone Grabber. And if you need an easy kill, I'm probably that person, especially if you're a veteran at this series. Have a nice day. Please like, subscribe, and enjoy the video.